I'm Tracy Halcomb, and I'm a full professor in the Department of Communication. I teach in the journalism and media area. I teach television production or production one, media law, and audio production here at Flagler College. It was total serendipity. We were having dinner at a conference. I was at a BEA conference in Vegas, and we were at Benihana's, and you sit in as a group, and the two ladies seated at our table we went around, kind of introduced ourselves, and they were professional poker players. And I was with Jim Gilmore, a colleague that used to teach here at Flagler. He's at University of Michigan now, and we just kind of looked at each other and said, that's a fabulous idea for a documentary. And we've been working on it for a little over 2 years now. The title right now, we've kind of decided on it. It's been cracking aces, which is a poker term for beating someone that has a pair of aces when you are totally bluffing. You've got nothing good. Your cards are terrible, but you've bluffed enough and you keep betting, so the person that has the pair of aces finally drops out. You've cracked their aces. That's what that means. But it's called Cracking Aces, A Woman's Place at the Table. We didn't actually witness any sexual harassment of women as they were playing poker, but the women, and we interviewed over 30 female poker players that started playing back in the late 70s, early 80s, through currently 2018 players. And it's amazing the same kind of stories. They told the same stories back in the 80s, back in the 90s, even within the last couple years. In fact, when we were filming, doing some shoots where the women got together for the Women in Poker Hall of Fame event, they actually talked about a gentleman that but a gentleman that entered a women's only event because they can't not let men play, and then what his behavior was, which wasn't very positive at all. He entered the women's only event just to make trouble and to kind of show his behind. Well, poker as a game is based on your intellect, math skills, psychology. It has nothing to do with brawn. It should be an equal opportunity game. There should be just as many women playing as there are men. Yet at the professional level, when you're talking about playing for money in tournaments, it's a 95% male and 5% female. Why is that? It shouldn't be like that. There's no reason for it except that the game is marketed to men and women are on the sidelines. They're on the railbirds. They're the hot women of poker. They're not seen as qualified professional players, and that's a shame. The common thread among all these players is definitely the fact that they didn't care that they were being discriminated against. They realized that men were going to treat them a certain way, and they didn't allow it. They didn't allow men to treat them in any kind of detrimental way. And they actually worked together to change some of the situations, to make the poker room a much more inviting place for women. So these women that we interviewed were the pioneers, were the ones sitting there with smoke being blown in their face and being called little lady, get up and get me some tea from male players. They were the ones that just said, no more. They said time's up back in the 80s. And that's why these women are so special. They didn't just complain about the situation for women playing poker. They actually made the changes. They helped the evolution start. And I think it is an evolution in poker. I actually was very surprised that some of the current players, they still see some of the same situations. They still hear some of the same terminology and language. And I thought we were past that. I really did. I hoped that, again, we had evolved as a society, and that, the behavior, I would hope that, I just hoped it was better. I think it is better now than it's ever been, as far as between men and women players, male and female poker players. I think there's more respect there now than there ever has been, but it's just still very disheartening when you look at the World Series of Poker, the biggest tournament in the world. Players all over the world come and play, and it's still 96% male and 4% female. No. No, I don't. And I have learned enough about the game that I don't think I ever will play poker, because I just don't have the stomach for it. I can't, I'm not very good. I'm very transparent. So I have a poker face. And so people would know immediately, oh, she's either got good cards or bad cards. I'm not real good at that. And I just don't have, the the constitution that you need. I would be a lousy poker player. Jim Gilmore is wonderful. He ran the camera. He's done 99% of the editing to the project. And as a man, often I'm sure he felt very awkward in these conversations as I was doing the interviews with the women and recording audio. But he is wholeheartedly, Jim is a feminist also, and he really is a wonderful part of the team. And again, he apologized for men's behavior after many of these interviews. Like, I just can't believe you had to deal with that language, you had to deal with that behavior. Jim he's a staunch supporter of women's rights. Well, one of the reasons I wanted to get back into documentary filmmaking was to be able to literally apply what I'm learning, and I am still learning about the process and how it has changed since the last time I made a documentary. So that has been really nice, and it's totally applicable to my television production class that I teach, my audio production class, even the media law class I teach. We talk about copyright clearance, and I was complaining to them about how much money we were paying for music rights and the process, and how long and drawn out it is. And so I talked about some issues logistic wise when it came to producing shoots, and some issues and problems, and then getting permissions, and even finding a location, a casino that would allow a camera inside. So all of this, everything I've done for this documentary, as far as producing, interviewing, recording audio, research for all the interviews, all of that directly translates to what I teach in the classroom. And I let my students watch some stuff. I've let them watch a trailer and showed them, this is an example of this. This is why that shot's not in the movie, and so I think that is the main reason for me to get interested in making documentaries again, because A, it's fun, I love what I teach, but it directly relates to all the classes that I teach. I would just say to make people aware that poker is a viable alternative. It should be a very exciting kind of game. It's a hobby, and it's not for the faint-hearted. But also, I would like our audience for the movie to meet these women, to just be aware of their accomplishments and be aware of how much farther this needs to go. I would like people to meet these ladies. I really do. I think many of them are amazing women that have dedicated their life to make the poker industry treat women equally, to treat women with equality. They have made just the whole player situation in poker rooms better for all players, not just female players, but to make the poker rooms non-smoking now. So you can actually stand to walk in and among them and not get emphysema while you're watching someone play poker or actually playing the game. That's good for all of poker. But to also welcome women in and grow the game. I mean, it's saturated as far as male participation. The only way the game can actually grow worldwide is to bring more women into it.